In our continuing series celebrating women this August, Nonyameko Mandindi has held executive and leadership positions in the construction and engineering industries in South Africa. Among her many qualifications, she holds an executive master's degree in positive leadership and strategy, a Bachelor of Science in quantity surveying, a property development program qualification, as well as a certificate in housing finance. She has consulted, offering strategic direction to various companies in the industry in South Africa as well as globally. And just last week, she received a Chairman Award conferred by the Construction Industries Development Board at its 4th Annual Empowerment and Recognition of Women in Construction event in Johannesburg. Nonyameko Mandindi joins us now virtually from Cape Town. A very good morning to Nonyameko. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Sipiwa.
First of all, congratulations on your winning of the Chairman Award for your leadership and contribution to the South African construction industry. No surprises there. And you have worked across industries in areas of leadership and strategy, holding various executive positions, including chief executive and also the chairman of the board of Group 5, one of the biggest construction companies in South Africa. So how has that kind of exposure to powerful positions of influence come about?
It was a long journey. It was a long journey of self-development and also development within the industry. So, these things, it just doesn't come overnight. We have to be patient. We have to be resilient. We have to walk the talk and develop over time. So all those accolades and opportunities came over a period of time, not just overnight. Thank you.
Now, as early as 1987, you received so much exposure right from the beginning of your career that so many South Africans can only wish for, such as being a trainee at Greenacre Construction and started working as a quantity surveyor at Murray and Roberts. So those are heavyweights in South Africa, no doubt about that, and they've transcended different eras. So do you attribute this to your education and the career choices you've made?
Yes, it's a combination, actually.
Okay.
I remember when I was in first year, having been the first black woman to work within the University of Natal, and then the second black woman to qualify in South Africa after Usistenji Oyana, who I dedicated the award to as well. At that time, it was not easy for black women, particularly women overall. It was more a gender issue than a race issue. The first Easter, when I was in first year, the professor called me in, and in his way, he was a caring adult, I suppose, and he advised me not to come back after Easter because whilst I was training, nobody would be able to employ me. Who's going to employ a black woman at that stage?
Really?
Yes, he counseled me and said, listen, don't come back, and who's going to employ you? So with a gutsy 18-year-old, I looked back at him and I said, you're going to employ me because you will have trained me. So I suppose it's a combination of those moments where you have to make a decision that you are the author of your destiny. And also you have to stand up for yourself and really assert yourself in certain circumstances. Because I could have stayed at home, and indeed, at that stage, nobody was interested in a black woman. But as the winds of change were blowing in the country, then there was a lot more awareness of the need to transform within. Of course, it's been trickling of transformation. We're still not there even in this day. But there was at least an awareness that we need to be given opportunities. So I suppose as having been pioneers in the industry and pioneers in the fields, we began to open up those doors. And our challenge at that time was really how do we then open up for the balance of those who are coming behind us.
Nyame, I quite like what you said earlier on, that you attribute your success to, amongst other things, self-development. And I suppose it speaks to, that kind of tenacity you had when you started in this industry back when there were political tensions in South Africa with multiplicity of gender and racial disparities. So what gave you the urge? What gave you that encouragement to push through the glass ceiling and break all barriers?
Another example I always give as one of the decisive moments in my career was also another episode. I got a job in Smith Street, one of the big buildings at that time with a big firm of quantity surveyors. So I started work on the first day. Nobody wants to interact with me naturally. I'm the only black person other than the guy who was the transportation guy and also the lady who was making tea. So I go to the first day at work, and at the end of the first day, having had that brutal experience where nobody wants to deal with you, everybody's rejecting you, you like you don't exist in the office. And then the principal calls me and say, "How was your first day?" And I tell him it was a bit difficult, nobody was interacting and so on. So he looks back at me and says, you must understand, we've never had a black person in the office, so everybody's struggling. And at that point, I made a decision. And I asked him, Mr. Whatever, you've had trainees in the office, haven't you? You've had quantity surveyors. And he said, yes, of course. And I said, I'm here in my capacity as a professional, not in my capacity as a black and as a woman. So those will be home. So I think I learned from that point to carry myself as a professional. Of course, I bring my femininity to the table. I'm not oblivious of my race. It's not an issue with me. But that's not what I'm around the table for. I'm around the table for my technical expertise and my professionalism. So I suppose that has carried me through.
That is a very powerful assertion there. And how much of a factor is education then in one's success? Notwithstanding that South Africa is at a point where people have become so despondent to the point of saying that education doesn't pay in our country, only connectedness to certain people, as many graduates roam the streets jobless.
That is unfortunate, Simpiwe. That's totally unfortunate. Education is key. I could sit and access those opportunities and be around the table, not only in the country, but globally as well, because I had the requisite education. And I continued within that sphere to improve myself, to develop in that space in education as well. So education is key. That's why one of the groups of people I dedicated the award to is these young women, the young girls, the young people of our country who have been robbed of that possibility of getting into the technical industry where they would have wanted to be. Because in some schools, there's no maths being provided, and they're being given maths lit as an only option. And it pains my heart to see how much we've decimated the future in that process. So I think our education system has a lot to do to improve.
All right,
and to ensure that we give access to opportunities to our young people, because we've got a lot of talent. Yeah.
Okay. Nonyameko, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time. And once again, congratulations on such a massive accolade. We do appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simpiwe.